Okay, so tonight we're talking about understanding Destination Australia program. That's what we'll be looking at tonight. Um, and I hope it will be helpful to someone who is looking for an opportunity to study abroad on scholarship, and if you're considering Australia as an option. So in today's discussion, we're going to be looking at number one, why you should think of studying in Australia. Then we will talk about understanding Destination Australia program, where I will take more time to share with you how it works, what's involved, and what it's all about. And then we'll talk about how to apply, and then we'll conclude with what you need to apply for this particular program. So for those who don't know me, I'm not sure if there's anyone who doesn't know me here at the moment, but yeah, so if there is, my name is Ape Omede, and I am a Marie Curie Fellow at Chagas, which is Agriculture and Food Development Authority in Ireland. I'm doing my postdoctoral fellowship with this organization at the moment, and I'm in Spain, where I'm doing a kind of a visiting researcher program. So I'll be here for a while, and then I'll go back to Ireland after my program here. And I always share some of the things that I've been able to achieve in terms of scholarship, awards, and grants to encourage everyone who is listening. And the first of them is that I was an all-tech young scientist and still remain an all-tech young scientist. Once a scientist, always a scientist. But I won this award in 2009 and 2011, and it gave me an opportunity to travel to the US, and I met some great scientists at the event. So I'm a three-time winner of World Poetry Congress Young Scientist Award in 2008, 2012, and 2016, which is an opportunity for young scientists to attend the World Poetry Congress every 4 years. And on 3 consecutive occasions, I've been able to get my name on the list. So in 2012, 2013, I won the University of New England International Postgraduate Research Scholarship. And at the same time, the University of New England International Postgraduate Research Award. And these two opportunities gave me the chance to be able to pay my fees for PhD and do my research studies without having to think about money. A year later on, I won a research grant from Hamlet Protein, which is an animal nutrition industry company in Denmark that provided me with an extra $40,000 for my research. And then I am a Marie Curie Co-Fund Fellow, which is what I told you when I started. And that's the reason why I'm doing my postdoc in Ireland. All this amounts to about 400,000 US dollars, and that's a lot of money. And like I said, I'm just sharing this to let you know that you can also do it. It's not too hard. All you need is commitment. All you need is the right information. And all you need is to do the hard work that is involved. So this is my family, my son, my 3 girls, or 4 girls rather. And yeah, I love my family. So I organized this webinar on the platform of Scholarship Mastery Academy, which is a program I started to help students to become scholarship fit and ready. And we do that through webinars like this. We share opportunities as well on our Telegram platform and other social media platform. We have an online course and also a coaching and mentoring program. So the first 2 are free events or free activities, but the last 2 are actually paid programs. So Destination Australia program is what we're discussing today. And let's go. Why should you study in Australia? If you were here last week, I shared this with us, but let me share it again for the sake of those who are joining us for the first time today or were not here last week. The first reason to think of Australia is because Australia is, when you talk about countries, best countries to study in the world, there are four or five of them that come to mind at the first instance. United States of America, Canada, United Kingdom, Australia. I mean, I'm not counting out the Europe. Europe is there, but because Europe is a group of countries, you can't include it in this category, but we're talking about individual countries. So when you look at it from individual countries' perspective, the first four to think of is US, Canada, UK, and then Australia. And that's not just because it's a list, but the fact is that about 12 universities in Australia are among the first 200 universities in the world. And that's a very good achievement compared to the number. I mean, when you look at it from the aspect of number of universities in the world. And these are world-class universities as well, with the best kind of research studies and best kind of equipment, best kind of facilities and all that. So if you're looking for where to a good university, then Australia is an option. Number two, Australia's student visa comes with working opportunity. So you don't need to apply for another visa to be able to work in Australia. As soon as you're a student and you get a visa, that visa allows you to work for 20 hours fortnightly, I think, or per week. I think it's fortnightly. And then when that is when the school is on session. But when the school is not on session, you can work unlimited hours. You can work as much hours as you can, and that's one good thing. Not having to think of whether you can work or not is a very, very good thing with Australia. Number three, Australia has a very diverse society. I mean, you meet people from, even in small communities, very small communities, you'll be surprised that you see Chinese, you see people from different parts of Asia, you see people from different part of North America, different part of Europe, living in small communities. A lot of Africans as well. And that gives it a kind of a flair that you're able to meet with people from different backgrounds and culture, get to know them and live with them, which is quite interesting. As a matter of fact, I've met people from different parts of the world just by the virtue of studying and living in Australia. You live and study in a very safe environment. Australia is one of the safest countries in the world, and there's no doubt about it. Even if you check their records on the internet, you will agree with me that Australia is quite safe, and maybe because it's isolated from most parts of the world. But then they have a very good security program as well. It's quite very difficult for you to come into Australia if you don't have Australian visa. It's quite difficult, So if anybody is coming to hurt people, definitely that person will be intercepted. So if you talk about safety as an option for you, then Australia is one of it. Australia has what is called post-study work visa, which allows you to work for some years after your studies, whether with a master's degree or a PhD. You're able to apply for this visa, and you can stay for some more years to work if you want to work. For the PhD, I think it's for 4 years, and for master, it's about 18 months to 24 months. So that's a good thing to think about. And then migration opportunity. It's quite easy to migrate to Australia if you study something that is within the scope of their skill occupation list. They have what they call the skill occupation list, which lists all the skills that they are interested in. And so if you study a course that is within that field, within any of those skills, and you have some work experience as well within the time of your study or even after your study, you could easily migrate by applying for their permanent resident programs as well. So there are a lot of reasons why you should think of Australia, but these are the few that are quite very important. So now let's talk about the Destination Australian program. So what is it? This is a program, a scheme that was created by Australian government, I think last 2 years maybe, and is being run by the Department of Education, Skills and Employment, but the administration of the program is through the universities. So it's a government scholarship, but it's administered through the universities. But it's different from other government scholarships like Australia Awards, which requires you to go back to your country when you finish your study. But with this scholarship, you don't need to go back to your country. Why was it created? So what is happening now is that the big cities in Australia are getting very, very congested. So the government is thinking that is a problem when you talk about the pressure on the facilities in the cities, and what is causing the government to take care of those. The big cities. So they thought that maybe what they could do was to create an opportunity that will reduce pressure on the major cities of Australia. So they came up with this idea to pull people to the regional areas. So what they did was to come up with this particular scholarship program and to decongest the big cities so that people can begin to go to the regional areas, basically to help grow the regional areas and to also create opportunity for migration in the regional areas. So basically, the reason why this program was created was to reduce the population pressure on the big cities in Australia, cities like Melbourne, Adelaide, Brisbane, and Sydney, and probably maybe a city like Hobart as well. So how does it work? Regional and remote universities apply directly to the government. So when I talk about remote, I'm not talking, I mean, it's not like it's remote in the sense that we know it. If you go to a remote place in Australia, you won't feel the remoteness because everything you need to live in that city or in that town will be there. Everything you need, to live a good life will be there. So, but in their sense, in their own imagination, they feel that those cities are remote or regional areas. So how it works is the universities that are located in these regional areas apply to the government for this funding. And so when they get this funding, they will now advertise for students to apply to them. So the first thing is that the universities will have to be successful in applying to the government. Remember, the program is run by the Department of Education, Skills and Employment. So if the universities apply and get the funding, then they can now re-advertise for students to apply directly to them. So that's how it works. So even though it's coming from the government, you don't need to apply to the government like Australia Awards. You apply directly to the university. So in the coming year, about 17 million has been mapped out for this program, and it will run for the next 4 years. So from now to 2025, this scholarship will be on. We don't know what will happen after 2025, whether they will stop it or continue with it, depending on the outcome. So if they see that the outcome is good, I think they will continue. But there's about $17 million allocated to it, about 4.24 million per year over the next 4 years. Who can apply for this scholarship? Both domestic students and international students in every field of study for a coursework. But I will explain the but later on. So the opportunity is open both for Australian students and international students. But like I mentioned last week, if you were here last week, because the scholarship we discussed last week also has the same criteria, whatever, that both domestic and international students can apply for it. But the fact is that the application is different. So domestic students and international students don't apply on the same form and don't get assessed on the same form. So you're only going to be competing with international students, while domestic students will be competing among themselves as well. So you don't have to worry about, oh, okay, there is no chance for me since I'm going to be competing with Australians. No, that's not a problem at all. Your concern should be the people who are applying from different parts of the world, from China, from Brazil, from Ghana, from Ethiopia, from United States, from Germany, and all the parts of the world who will be applying for this. That should be your main concern. So it's open to both kind of students, and it's in every field of study for a coursework. So basically, most of the universities who are offering this program are offering it to students who are coming to study a course program. I mean, a coursework program, not a research program. What we did last week was basically for research programs. So, but this one, Destination Australia, is basically for coursework. Why I put the but there is that because of the kind of funding that there is, because of what is covered in the scholarship, sometimes a research student can also apply for it. As a matter of fact, there are universities that allow research students to also apply for research scholarships and also apply for Destination Australia, scholarship. But primarily, it is for a taught program, not for research program. So if you're looking at going for a taught program, this could be something you can consider. If you're looking at going for a research program, then what we discussed last week would be more relevant or more useful to you. But then you can apply for the two at the same time if the university you want to apply to has the opportunity for you to do so. So in this year so far, so I think they counted 2019 to 2020, about 1,180 scholarships of the Destination Australia Scholarship has been awarded. You can imagine that. More than 1,000 has been awarded. So that means 2020, 2021, another 1,000 scholarships are available for you to grab one from it. How many are we on the show right now? We are 16 plus myself. I'm not applying for any scholarship. So assuming that all of us are applying for this thing. So out of 1,000, and if you are 16 on this show, you can count your chances. Across 35 universities in Australia. So this is a huge chance. This is a huge opportunity. As a matter of fact, scholarship opportunities are huge. They are huge. They are out there. All you need to do is to go for it. Can you imagine 1,180 scholarships in 1 year awarded in Australia alone? In one kind of scholarship program. We're not even talking about how many awarded in Australia Award or how many awarded in a research training program that we discussed last week, and other internal programs that are being awarded every year. So guys, just wake up and put your act together, put your house together and go for this thing. Value of the scholarship is 15,000 Australian dollars, and it is tax free. So you're not going to pay tax on it if you get it, and if you're a full-time student. And it's paid fortnightly. Basically in Australia, salaries are paid fortnightly. Some pay weekly, but most of them pay fortnightly. So if you get a scholarship in Australia, you'll be paid every 2 weeks. You don't have to wait for the end of the month, to receive your money. So this is also like that. It's paid every 2 weeks, and you can use it to cover your fees or your living expenses. The fact is, 15,000 Australian dollar it may not cover everything that you need to handle in Australia, but it's a huge amount of money. And with your visa as a student that allows you to work, just go for this scholarship. It will be very, very easy to I've seen students who come without scholarships and they still survive, working because Australia allows them to work. They work during when school is on session, and then when school is not on session, they work all through, and then they're able to pay their fees. So how much more when you get as much as 15,000 every year, to cover your fees? I think it's a very good one. So what kind of scholarship is it? It is basically a merit scholarship. And when we talk about merit scholarship, it is based on academic performance, mainly academic performance from your previous studies. So you'll be competing with other people, and they'll be looking at your scores when you were studying your previous program. If you're going for masters, they'll be looking at your what you did during your undergraduate program. And if you're going for a PhD, they'll be looking at what you did during your masters, as well. That's basically what a kind of scholarship that it is, and that is why it is mostly awarded for a taught course instead of research. But mind you, I've already mentioned that even if you're going for a research program and your university is offering it, you can also apply for it and use it to cover part of your living expenses and other things as well. You can not only living expenses and fees. I think you can use it for internship. You can use it for other kinds of trainings, and all that. So if you're applying for a research program in a university that allows you to apply for this, you should also apply for it as well. So the next one is duration. For masters, you can be on this scholarship for about 2 years, a maximum of 3 years. And for undergraduate, you can be on it for 4 years. Surprisingly, even undergraduate students can actually apply for this. So if you have anybody who is seeking an undergraduate program in Australia, they can also go for it. And interestingly, there is a program called TAFE in Australia, and TAFE is like maybe Polytechnic or a little bit lesser than Polytechnic, but is a pathway. What they do in TAFE is that it can be a pathway program. They run pathway programs where you finish a certificate program, and then you go and start working if you want, or if you finish a certificate program and you maybe proceed to a diploma level, you can use it to go into the university, and then your years in the university will be reduced. Instead of doing a 4-year program, they will now ask you to do maybe 3 years or 3.5, or instead of doing a 3 years program, you now do 2 years or 2.5 and all that. And it's run by an organization called TAFE. So each of the state has their own TAFE program, TAFE. So if you want to read more about it, you can Google TAFE New South Wales or TAFE Victoria or TAFE Queensland. TAFE is TAFE, and you will see it. Interestingly, this scholarship can also be awarded for people who are going to study in TAFE. And TAFE is also open for international students. So, and they have good programs. It's just like going to a polytechnic or a monotechnic in Nigeria or any other part of Africa. Is location based, and what that means is that because the scholarship is specifically for growth and migration towards the regional areas, universities that offer this scholarship offer it only to students who are willing to study at any of their campuses that is located in a regional area. So many of the universities have maybe a main campus in the big city, but still they have other campuses across the country, and some of those campuses are in regional areas. And so what this means basically is that if you're going to study in any of those regional areas, and a university that is offering this scholarship is located in that area, then you should be able to apply for it. If you're going to live in Sydney, or you're going to, say for example, you want to go to University of Sydney, and you decide to go to their Sydney campus, or your course is located at their Sydney campus, then you may not be able to apply for this scholarship because Sydney is not a regional area. So I hope that is as clear as possible. Melbourne is a big university. University of Melbourne is a big university located in Melbourne, but then they have regional campuses that offer some of their courses as well. So if you're going to University of Melbourne and you go to Melbourne to study, you will not be able to apply for this scholarship. But if you go to their regional campus, say your course is offered at their regional campus, then you will be able to apply for it. So it also requires you to continue to live. If you're offered a scholarship, you will need to continue to live in that regional area throughout the period of your study. One good thing about this is that if you finally decide to go for migration, one of the good things with living in a regional area is that living in a regional area gives you points, because Australian migration is based on points. So how old are you gives you some points. Your English language exam, IELTS score or PTE score gives you some points. Studying in Australia gives you some points. Studying at master's level or PhD level gives you some points. Having work experience gives you some points. I'm sharing this with you. This is something else entirely different from what we're discussing, but it's important I mention it because of the residency. You may be thinking, why should I go and live in a regional area? And I started by saying that in fact, I live in a regional area. Armidale is a regional area, but it doesn't look like anything regional when it's compared to living in some part of Africa. So you get that very clearly. The point I'm trying to make is that if you study the regional area and you want to apply for permanent residency, living in a regional area adds to your point. So it's not a loss. Is a plus if you decide to go for this scholarship. So one good thing with it is that it gives you some point that you can add to your points when you're applying for permanent residency in Australia. So academic performance is very, very important. That if you get this scholarship, you may be required. Some of the universities have stated it clearly on their rules, regulation for the scholarship, that if you get this scholarship, you must maintain a CGPA or GPA of 4.0 for every semester to be able to continue on the scholarship. So Of course, if you get into it, you must be a very hard worker. And I mean, there's no way anybody will come from Africa to go and study abroad and not be a high flying student, because we know what it takes to get out of Africa to study abroad. So that's not a problem. But I just needed to mention it so that you know that you have to prepare very, very well to apply for this scholarship. So how do you apply for this scholarship? It's quite very, very simple. Number one, just identify the universities that are offering this program in the regional areas. Usually, if you've identified such universities, you go to their funding and scholarship page. There you'll be able to see whether they are offering this scholarship or not. But the first thing to do is to identify which universities are located in regional areas or have their campuses in regional areas. Some of the universities are located in regional areas. I mean, the main campus itself is located in the regional area, while some are located in the cities but have campuses in the regional areas. So that's what you need to find out. And Australia has what is called Regional Australian Network. Regional Australian Network, Regional University Networks, which is RUN, Regional Universities Network, which is a network of regional universities. That is universities with their main campus in the regional areas. That can help you as well if you Google that. But I have a list of some of the universities, and we'll get to it as we continue. So first thing, identify universities that are offering this program and look at where they are located. Secondly, have a look at the courses that are offered in the university to see if the one you want to go for is eligible for the scholarship, because I've seen some of the universities offering this scholarship for just for not all the courses in the universities, in their university rather. So you need to look at the university's program and ensure that your program or whatever you want to study is part of the courses that are offered. But in most cases, almost all the courses in the universities are eligible for the scholarship. So I don't think it will be a very big problem. Then when you find out that your course is being offered, you just prepare your documents and your essays that as may be required. Most of them that I've seen require you to write personal statement or motivation letter. Why do you want to be? Why do you think you should be offered the scholarship, and stuff like that. So you have to write those essays, and of course you have to get your documents ready as may be required by the university. And then have a look at the application form, prepare it and submit it when it's ready. The deadline is a little bit variable for this particular scholarship. There is no fixed deadline, but because is a third course of scholarship program, it is usually at the beginning of each of the trimesters. So whenever there is, because in Australian universities, you can apply, in most of them, you can apply to start in any semester. It's not like in Nigeria or I don't know, other parts of Africa where you will only have to apply to start at the beginning of the year. No, you don't have to. You can start your course in the first trimester. You can start your course in the second trimester. You can start your course in the third trimester if the university offers up to 3 trimesters. University of New England has 3 trimesters in a year, meaning that you can start at any of those trimesters. So what happens is that for each of the trimester that they open application for, you can apply for DAP at that particular season. But generally, I think it's between February and August on a general observation. Most of them, start and finish around February, March, while the second round starts around August or finishes around August and September. So I assume that some of them are still on at this particular moment. Some of the universities, I think some of them are still on, and I assume that some of them have already closed. So it's quite variable. No fixed period to say, okay, this is when all the applications must be made. So the best thing to do is for any university that you're looking at, you have to look at the deadline for the program to be sure that it's still on before you can apply. And if it is passed already, what you need to do is to start preparing for next year's program, because January, February, almost all the universities will open up application for the first trimester again, or even before the end of the year rather. the applications will open. So you don't have to wait until early next year to start applying. So what will you need to apply for DAP? Usually one application form for both admission and the program, but then some universities may want you to apply in two separate. I've even seen some universities that say you don't even need to apply for it. They will just say the program is there, just apply. We will consider you automatically if you're eligible for it. So in that kind of situation, you have to be very, very careful to make sure to not just take it that, okay, I'm applying for admission. You have it at the back of your mind that, okay, this admission I'm applying for is going to be used to consider me for DAP. So you put in all your effort into that application once and for all. So that can be very, very tricky, where they tell you you don't need to fill another form. Just one admission. If you admitted, one admission form, and if you admitted, then we will consider for DAP. Unlike where you have two different applications and you know that, okay, if I'm filling DAP form, I will take my time to fill DAP form. So you have to check what is the program like, what is the rule for each university. Two, you need to have a detailed CV. And like I said, you need to have your motivation letter or statement of purpose ready, depending on what they're asking you to. Some will ask you to write, to just write why you want to apply for this program and why do you think you should be considered for it. Some will give you some questions, maybe 3 or 4 questions, and then ask you to respond to each of those questions. Best thing to do is to check out what is required ahead of time. So if they want you to write a statement of purpose, a straight statement of purpose or motivation letter, you start writing it. And 1-page statement of purpose or one-page motivation letter is enough. Then if they have questions, you start preparing your responses to those questions ahead of time. Some of them will ask you to provide evidence of address of your country and other identity documents showing that you're an international student. If you're applying for, of course, you'll be applying for the international student version of the scholarship program. So you need to have that ready in case if you are asked to provide those things. Reference letters from your referees may be requested as well. So you need to get that ready. Certified copies of your transcripts and certificates, that is a sure thing. Number one thing you should get ready at all times. English language proficiency evidence may be required from you by some of the universities. Like I've mentioned severally, some of them may not ask for it if you're coming from Nigeria or Ghana or any other country where English language is the language of instruction. But if they ask for it, then you have to provide it. And then gather all your documents. Then you submit your application, usually online or via an email. Most of them now these days is online. So these are things you need to get ready, prepare ahead of time to be able to apply for this scholarship. So now I'm going to show you some of the regional universities or universities with regional campuses or a campus. Some of them have more than one campus, so campuses is okay. In Australia, so you can take note of them and begin to look at them. So the first is University of Western Australia, University of New England, which is my university where I finished from, Edith Cowan University, Curtin University, University of Notre Dame, University of Tasmania. So University of Tasmania is one of the states in Australia. Is it a state again or a territory? Oh, it's a territory, it's not a state. So they have states and territories. So Tasmania is in one of the territories. And Tasmania is the capital of that territory. It's called Northern Territory, but still they consider University of Tasmania as a regional university. So that's why I was telling you initially that some of them, when you talk about regional areas, don't look at it from the angle of I'm going to the village. You're not going to any village. You're going to a city that you will live and enjoy. Any city that has university in Australia, it's a good place to live. So University of Tasmania is one of them. University of Melbourne, and like I mentioned when I was talking about it initially, that if you go to University of Melbourne in Melbourne, you will not apply. You'll not be able to apply for this scholarship. because Melbourne is not a regional area. But if you go to University of Melbourne in one of the regional areas in Victoria, then you'll be able to apply for it. So that's the reason why University of Melbourne is listed here. La Trobe University, Federation University, Deakin University, Australian Catholic University, University of South Australia, Flinders University, University of Sunshine Coast in Queensland, University of Southern Queensland, the University of Queensland also is like University of Melbourne. So the main campus of University of Queensland is in Brisbane, and Brisbane is not a regional area. Brisbane is I think the third largest city in Australia, or the second largest after Sydney. So if you're going to University of Queensland in Brisbane, you're not going to get it. But if you go to University of Queensland in a city called Gatton, there's a city called Gatton in Queensland, which is considered a regional area, then you'll be able to get the scholarship. And I've been to Gatton before. You know, in 2008, when I went to Australia for the first time, we were hosted in Gatton. You know, so I mean, it's not a village. Central Queensland University, James Cook University, Charles Darwin University. You know, so this university is in the city, but it is also referred as a regional university because it's one of the smaller capital of a state in Australia, but it's a big city. And from what I heard or know, a lot of Africans are in Darwin. University of Wollongong. University of Wollongong is just, I think, how many hours away from Sydney? It's not far away from Sydney. So if you're living in Wollongong, it's like you're living in Sydney. But it's one of the universities that is eligible for this program. Southern Cross University, and then Charles Sturt University in Wagga Wagga. So there are about 35 universities that got it last year from the government. I don't know how many universities will get it this year, but I've listed just about 24 universities for you that you can consider if you're interested in this scholarship. So, but there are more than this, I think. Okay, so that's all for today, and we will just switch back to our questions and answers. So there's a question here that says, is it open for PhD students? Yes, the scholarship is open for PhD students as well. It's open for, like I showed in the slide, even for Certificate 4. From Certificate 4 to PhD, it's open to you. But it's specifically for coursework. It's specifically for coursework. So if you're going for a PhD that is based on coursework, you can apply for it. If you're going for a PhD that is research, you can apply for the major research scholarships and then apply for this one as well as a supplement to your funding, if the university you are applying to allows you to do that. But generally, PhD by research, Masters by research have their own kind of scholarship that makes it easy for research students to get funding. But is this allowed for PhD students? Yes, it is allowed for PhD students. If you have a question, you can ask your question. Loretta, let's start with you.
Okay. I want to find out the 50,000 Australian dollars paid fortnightly. Would they give room to pay for your fees also fortnightly or per trimester? How do you do that?
So usually you pay your fees per trimester. You pay your fees per trimester, not fortnightly. Okay, so I mean, what happens is if you are on this scholarship, it will be less for you to be saving whatever it is that they are paying you ahead or towards your scholarship, you know, because at the end of each trimester, before you begin the next trimester, you need to pay your fees.
Okay.
So they just give you the money. It's left for you to decide what to do with it. You know, another. So I think the best approach to this is if you get it, use it to pay your fees, first installment of fees, and then look for some money for your upkeep. And then as soon as you start receiving your scholarship, you just keep saving it. You have a bank account that they'll be paying it into, and you just keep saving it there until when you need to pay your next fees as well. You can take it from there. So the school fees are paid trimester by trimester. But let me also mention that you can arrange a payment plan with the university. So if you decide that as the money is coming, instead of keeping it in the bank and then temptation will come from somewhere, you go and squander the money, you know, maybe you want to feel good or you want to travel around Australia, take all the money and start traveling from one city to the other. You can arrange with your university to pay ahead of time. I don't know if you understand me. So every 2 weeks, you instead of taking the money into your account, you redirect it to the university account, and they'll be crediting your account for you to say, okay, you have paid so amount towards your school fees. And when the next one comes, you push it to them again. And then it was, okay, you've paid so amount towards your school fees. And by the end of the trimester, you already finished paying for the next trimester as well. So that is very much allowed. Okay. So they will not take it they will not take it that you've paid all that you needed to pay at that time, but they will keep accumulating it for you until when your due date arrive. Then they will now mark you out that, okay, that this student has paid his or her fees for the trimester. So
Okay,
that's one
thank you.
yeah, that's one thing you can do. Can we get the list of universities on a particular website? So yeah, you can. If you go to the Department of Skills, Education Skills and Employment website, they will list the universities that won the application, because it's a grant from the government to the universities to students. So on the department, I think it's education.gov.au. If you browse through education.gov.au, you'll be able to see it. All the list of the universities that were granted for that particular year. So yes, you can find it there. Let me see if I can show you the website quickly before we take the next question. So if I share my screen, did I open that? Okay, so yeah, and I wanted to show you this as well. I wanted to show you this this particular page, but this is the website. This is Destination Australian website. So it's education.gov.au // or destination-Australia. So that is where you see the list, but you won't be able to see the list of those for 2020, 2021. Like you can see here, they are still considering it. I think they just closed the application in July. So very soon, when the list is out, they will announce it here also. And this is where you will see the list of the universities that are granted for 2021. And if you follow that list, you will see all the universities that are able to get the funding. So I want to show you this list to see the number of scholarships awarded per state. So this is New South Wales State. This is New South Wales State, and there are 7 institutions that are eligible. And in New South Wales alone, there were 324 scholarships awarded in 2020. This is Queensland. In Queensland, there are about 9 institutes. And if you look at this, you'll see, like I mentioned to you, TAFE. You see TAFE Australia. And you can imagine TAFE Queensland offered 19 scholarships to students, to international students. And this TAFE is like a polytechnic, like I mentioned when I was speaking. It's not a university. What they do here is they offer certificate program or diploma programs and stuff like that. That's what they do with TAFE. And each of the state has a TAFE. And I can see 9 students were offered in this particular campus, Manunda, and the other 9 was offered in this particular campus. But total in Queensland was 242. In South Australia, interestingly, only 2 universities in South Australia are eligible, and out of the two universities, 32 were offered, mostly for domestic students. So maybe this may not be a strong place to go. Flinders has both domestic and international, and they have 12 students offered. Tasmania, in across all the campuses had 75, and there are just University of Tasmania and TAFE Tasmania, and 75. So this is a very, very good school to consider, really. 75 opportunities in just two places, So University of Tasmania, they have campuses in Bonny, Hobart, and Launceston. Catholic University so this is Victoria. In total, Victoria had 309 across 9 institutions, including their TAFEs as well, and both across international and domestic students. And then in Western Australia, you have just 1, 2, 3, 4 universities that are eligible for 20. Remember, this is 2020 institutions. There may be more than this. There may be more than 35 in the next call that they just closed. And then in Western Australia, there were 122 offers made. So I just thought I would share this with you, actually, and thank God I remembered to do that. And I got this from this website as well. So if you want to know the universities that are eligible, remember to visit this website to know when they will announce it. Or if you're on the Telegram group, whenever they announce it, maybe I will share it on the Telegram group as well. So I'll stop sharing this and go back to my slide on questions and answers. I think I saw a question. Please, can you share? Okay, the DAP link. That's what I just did now. So let me type it in the message again in case if anybody did not get that. It is education.gov, education.gov.au/destination-Australia. So that's the website where you can find the list of the universities for the next year. But note that the universities I've already shared with you on this presentation, some of them still have the program going on at the moment, so you can still check those out. So, like I mentioned last week, we've since this month we've been taking in students on Scholarship Mastery Academy, and so if you're interested, this is the time to get on board, and because this is the time to prepare for next year's scholarship. All the things you need to prepare this is the period from now, October, November, December. You're entering 2021 ready, prepared, and fit for any scholarship that is coming on your way for the year. So if you're interested, you can enroll, and of course it's a paid program, and I'm going to share with you what is involved. So there are two aspects to what is involved. First one is that you can join the coaching and mentoring program, or you can just join the admission support program. And in the coaching program, you have access to a private support group. You have 6 months one-on-one individual call for about 3 months. Because the coaching program runs for 3 months. So for the whole of 3 months, there is a individual call with you every 2 weeks to monitor the progress, your progress with your scholarship pursuits and stuff like everything that's involved, just to make sure that your goals or objectives are achieved. Then within the same period, you have opportunity to have all your documents reviewed, all the essays, all the letters, the research proposals, everything that you need to put up as a document will be reviewed within that period. So you'll be the first to know of any, like if it is opportunities, just bet me that I know where all the opportunities are in any country, anywhere, any university. I know where the opportunity is. If I don't know it, I'll look for it. So if you're talking about opportunities and where they are, that one is no problem. And people who sign up for this will be the first to know. So because of we know where the opportunities are, there will be a lot of support in searching for opportunities. So basically, for people who have joined Scottish Master Academy in the past, they don't even need to ask. What they will just be receiving opportunity. It will not be you. The whole problem will now be with you being able to meet up with opportunities, because in every week you have 3 to 4 opportunities. Will you have the strength and the resilience to even apply for them? That's the main thing. But as for where the opportunities are, that is not a problem. And it's not cheap. It's expensive. It is expensive. It's 105,000 for that period of 3 months. So it's not a cheap program, and that's because of what is involved over that period of 3 months. Will there be an payment plan? It can be discussed. The payment plan can be discussed. But that's the cost of being part of the coaching and mentoring program. So for the admission, you get guidance on course selection. You get guidance on university to select, like this regional universities thing we are talking about now. Say if you decide to come to Australia, you have a very, very good guide on how to go about it. Review of application materials will be done for you as well. Q&A support, which I'm even doing at the moment for virtually everybody who gets in touch with me, even for free. So, but then you get more attention and all that if you're part of the program. The investment for this is 50,000, and the payment plan can also be arranged if you want to do that. But one thing I can assure you is that you will get the best out of it. It's not going to be a waste of time or a waste of resources. And there is a money back guarantee as well with terms and conditions. So there are money, like I'm not after just the money. I'm after making you fit and ready to achieve a scholarship or win a scholarship or be fit for it, So I'm not necessarily after your money. I'm just doing this to make you committed to it, because from experience, and I've said it severally, people I've tried to help, at the end of the day, waste my time. And so I don't want to waste my time. I know. So if you pay for it, then you get committed to it. So it's not just about your money and all that, it's about your commitment. And that is why I have a money back guarantee to it, but with terms and conditions. If you come into the program and maybe you feel that, okay, you're not getting what you want, you can ask for your money, and the terms and conditions will apply depending on and it's based on individual cases. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you so that you will know that it's not just about paying the money, it's about you being committed to whatever money you pay for the program. But whether you join Scholarship Mastery Academy or not, I am committed to keep sharing knowledge and opportunities and whatever it is that can help you with your dreams. So you still be able to get free tips and tricks and opportunities shared on our individual platform. I guess most of us who are here already are on those platforms. But if you're not, look for us on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, and follow or like. We have a Telegram group. It's usually in the email list, so you can join the Telegram group. And another thing we're going to begin very soon is that we're going to begin interviews, like real show, with people who have won scholarships in the past. So we're going to begin to bring them on. It may not be on a webinar. It may be on Instagram Live or Facebook Live or something like that. I'm not sure how we're going to do it yet, but as soon as we start that, we'll let you know. And it's going to be another free opportunity. Free program that you'll be benefiting from by being part of the program. In September, next week, we'll round up September with our DAT scholarship. And that is a very, very powerful program, which I would like you to be part of it. And it's in Germany. I believe it's going to be a good session as well. So if you want to know about that scholarship as well, you can come on 26th and we'll talk about it. And a lot of people have been talking about how to write a winning research proposal. So I've heeded to your call, and we will start October with that. We're going to be looking at how you can write a research proposal that can make sense to your potential supervisor. And as a matter of fact, that session is supposed to be a coaching and mentoring session. It's not one of the free ones, but I'm going to do that on the 3rd. And then Irish government scholarship is on right now, and I felt we should talk about it. It didn't look, I mean, I've checked it up. It's straightforward. It's quite straightforward. But interestingly, the 3rd October session will help you because you need a research proposal to apply for the Irish government scholarship. So I intentionally arranged it this way so that the 3rd October program will help you to prepare for the Irish government scholarship. So on the 10th of October, we'll look at that. Then after 10th of October, we will give a list of the rest of the topics for the month of October. So I will call on you to come back. If these sessions have been helping you, invite your friends, share the opportunities on your social media platform, and let people sign up. Especially when you receive the email with the sign up link, you can share it with other people to join as well. So this will be our program for the next 3 weeks, by the grace of God. Yeah, so this is where we're going to end today's session, and I want to thank you for joining the session today. We will see again next week when we'll talk about that scholarship.